Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear me? There we go. We've got subtitles. That means the computer's listening. Thanks, Dalton. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Fantastic. All right. We are up and running. Welcome, everybody. Holy smokes. Where did the year go, right? What has happened? It just flew by, in my opinion. Oh, my gosh. It's just December. We're less than a month away from Christmas. Incredible. Well, now we're shifting gears to the most applicable time of the year for this particular step. And you don't want to miss an opportunity, right? That's why this step is so applicable right now, so apropos. It's absolutely magnificent. The closing aberration is a new way to close buyers, minimizing negotiation because we're taking the lead from the shopper's behavior. Not taking the lead from the shopper. We're not following what the shopper wants to do. We're not necessarily answering all their questions. We're following their behavior, allowing the shopper to take the lead where we give them choices, allowing them to maintain control of the sale actually puts us in control of the sales process. We do this by gaining permission to move forward and solidify a deal that moves away from the traditional theory and teaching and training of closing. And this is the primary reason for the aberration in this step, where buyers have changed. They have gone through an aberration. And that's why average ordinary salespeople will struggle. It'll get worse as we go forward, as the recession becomes more obvious and seasonality really kicks in. So if you're not listening, you're not learning about the change that's happening and taking place. Let's move forward then. And good morning once again. My name is Bill Harvey, founder and owner of this retail automobile sales selling system. Grab your journal or your notepad and get ready to take notes, because this session is packed with information. Now, as I ascended the ranks of management and achieved my goal of becoming a dealer principal, it always intrigued me how many guys and gals follow a wing it approach closing deals. And the trend was not unique to any brand that I worked with, such as Mercedes-Benz, Honda, Hyundai, General Motors, Fiat, Chrysler, and Ford. All reps do this. Not all, as in every single person and 100%. And of course, you're going to do it differently. But every brand, sales reps that I saw and coached and trained and taught follow this wing it approach. And the problem with the wing it style is that there's no pattern success, because winging it is different every single time. So wouldn't you agree the easiest path to riches is to emulate what successful people do now? And successful and achievers don't wing it. So just before we start, allow me a moment to familiarize everyone with the platform and set the room. If you are a Zoomer or expert, please bear with me. If you're new to Zoom, it's easy. If you see my lips moving, yes, there is sound, assuming that you're reading the subtitles. You want to click Join with Computer Audio in the pop-up window. You may have to minimize this window to see that window in the background, and then click on the icon down at the bottom, the Zoom icon, and it'll bring your window back up. If your speakers, if your microphone, no, I'm wrong about that. If your speakers have a red line or strike through it, like your microphone is muted and should have a red line or strike through it, then you simply click on the speaker icon. That should turn your speakers on, or you may have to click with computer audio, or you may have to go and adjust your audio settings. And I'm assuming that you are reading the subtitles because you can't hear anything. Rest assured, these sessions are recorded, so feel free to request the recording, or even better, go to the private members group where the recording will be posted tomorrow, and you can review it, make notes on it, but more importantly, if your speakers aren't working, you can get them working, you can hear me talk. Now, to be less disruptive to those around you, think about connecting with earbuds or headphones. This definitely suggests that you are not available while staring at your computer screen. And if the app did not go to full screen, you can do so by clicking the upper right-hand corner to enlarge the full screen. I would also suggest you put up a sign on your desk, on your office door, and wearing headphones definitely suggests that you're in a meeting and you do not want to be disturbed. But as always, we need to be ready for those friendly buyer interruptions. So be ready. Position your pointer at the bottom of the screen and the toolbar will pop up. Click on the chat button and the window will appear where you can send me a message. As Dalton said, good morning to everybody. Thank you. If you have a question regarding functionality of the program, Zoom, the application rather, you can post it to me and ideally to everyone and in any class setting. Simple rules here of being respectful, courteous, and polite. If you see a question and you know the answer about the webinar functionality, feel free to contribute in the chat window. I will address all questions. Don't save your question. Go ahead and text it in as though you were blurting it out in the classroom at the time. Don't think, oh, I'll remember to ask at the end because we'll forget. Type it in the text chat, and then I will respond at the end of the session. Now, if I ask you to give me a thumbs up or a smiling face, these reactions can be found on the toolbar. Position your pointer at the bottom of the screen. The toolbar will pop up. Click on reactions and select the icon of your response. You can test this now. You can give me a thumbs up. Thanks, Peter. Oh, I see the hand raised, even better than that. So Peter's got his hand up. Peter, I will address your questions at the end. Thanks, Tori. Thanks, Dalton. Really appreciate that. Who else have we got? I'm just looking at Steve. That's a nice one, Steve. Thank you, Hamid. Excellent. Well done. All right, gang. I'm glad you're figuring out how to work those reactions. Thanks, Alex. Steve, that's a good one too. Really appreciate that. Excellent. If you have a question, please post that to the text chat and I will address questions at the end. Keep that in mind. Excellent. And of course, you only get out of this session what you really put into it. It makes it lively and a whole lot more fun. I've got a bunch of questions coming up, so get ready for those too. Sales intelligence, this phase will help you go from not knowing how to close, if that's the case, to closing almost every buyer every time. And I have to say legally every buyer almost, because there's no guarantee of doing so. You need to do the work in order to assure that you will receive the guarantee. And I'll tell you this much, that when you follow the process, you certainly unquestionably will, because that's the point of a system. Do the steps, follow them in order, and you will capitalize. It's as simple as that. Step 5, the closing aberration, is a departure from traditional high pressure, slimy, questionable ethics and tactics with a customer focused approach, solving the unpleasantness, the possibility of a combative perspective, selling automobiles. That's really what it's all about. The closing aberration will take you from not knowing what to say and how to finalize the agreement without sacrificing gross profit. The closing aberration is friendly and actually anticipated by your buyer. The aberration will speed up selling and increase your capacity without working any off-shift hours. Now, Tori, I can see that your hand is up. If you have a question, feel free to text chat that in. Otherwise, I will clear the hands down. And there we go. Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Now, does anyone know of the iconic classic meeting movie picture this represents? Craig, I'm looking at you. Peter, Mark, I'm looking at you guys for a little guidance and direction. Anybody remember, excuse me, the movie, that iconic scene, sales meeting movie that Baldwin played in? Well done, Alex. Yes, Glenn Ross. And what was the message in the meeting all the way along, Alex? Can you give everyone just a little hint, those who haven't seen it? You can probably find it on YouTube. I don't know if yes, Alex, well done. What were the prizes in the meeting? Do you remember what the prizes were? Oh, it was great. I just want you to know you're in the exact right place and underscore that this strategy that I'm sharing with you reflects the exact system that I've taught to thousands of salespeople, literally thousands. You can audit me on that to quickly and predictably preserve and maintain gross profit when closing and achieve their vehicle sales goals. Excellent. Craig, I can see your hand is up. If you have a question, feel free to just text chat that in if that is possible. If your hand is up, that just say that you're there. And hi, great. In short, this is what's working right now. So let's really get to it. Now, as you might be aware, trying to preserve and maintain growth when closing and ultimately performing at maximum potential is a major problem for salespeople worldwide. Craig, if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you certainly can. If that is what your hand is up for, otherwise I'll clear that hand down. If you have a question, Craig, you can, or a comment, you can text that into the text chat. Okay, thanks, pal. Excellent. All right. Now, as you might be aware, trying to preserve and maintain growth when closing and ultimately performing at maximum performance is a major problem for all salespeople worldwide. So if you find that is happening to you, you're not alone. And the automotive world is absolutely flooded with pseudo trainers, courses, and coaches. And quite frankly, hype for that matter, all promising to help us get the results, but ultimately only adding to our overwhelming frustration. I know what you want. You want results. You don't want any more information. I know, I'm going through it. The courses that I've just finished this quarter alone, and attended a course yesterday. And I'm like, you know what? All I want are the results. I don't want to learn anymore. We want stickers on the board and dollars in our bank account. I get it. It's the transformation from struggle to achiever that we're really after. Because just about every day I hear the same questions from folks just like you trying to preserve and maintain growth when closing. And it's changing fast as we're starting to build inventories. Number one, first and foremost, the question is, can I close sales without high pressure tactics? We'll talk about it. Secondly, is closing in the digital world different than closing in person? I will address that. And finally, will better closing skills, I get a charge out of this one. Will better closing skills really help me close more deals faster? Does the title Closing Aberration make sense for you though? Tell me, first of all, what your definition of closing is. I'm going to take a drink of water. Text me in what your definition of closing is, rather than me just prattling on at length, assuming that you're listening and getting so much out of this. I want to know that you're there. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. I rarely lose many arguments when I do that. What is your definition of closing? Excellent, Mark. Absolutely. What is your definition of closing? Text me in your response. What is your definition of closing? Alex, I know you're there because you answered so well to that slide of Alex Baldwin, that picture rather of Alex Baldwin. And I know, Tori, you're there. You had your hand up earlier. What's your definition of closing? Thanks, Tori. Summarizing, yes. Mutual agreement, excellent. A deal, 100%. Conversion, dynamite. Process, exactly. Who haven't we heard from? What's your definition of closing? What does that mean to you? All right. If you're still vigorously typing, please continue to do so. I'm going to move on in the interest of time. Does the closing aberration, and I couldn't agree with you more. Those are excellent responses. I'm going to summarize with, selling the automobile, finalizing the agreement, finishing the deal. But does closing aberration make sense to you? Okay, that is really what we're after. I'm going to summarize this, all of it, with finalizing the sale. If we were to pick just one, getting a deal that's beneficial to everyone, Steve, 100%. But the aberration is the difference. Again, in the text chat, tell me what you think the definition of an aberration is. What is the definition of aberration? Why would I choose aberration with this closing title in a step? What is an aberration? Feel free to quickly search Wikipedia, Webster's through a Google search. I don't care where you get the answer. The secret is being resourceful. When you're not sure and you know how to get the answer, it's the secret to success, right? It's not your resources. Yes, absolutely, Mark. Who else is doing a search on it? Thanks, Hamid. Dynamite. Who else has come up with a definition of aberration? I could say closing's changed. I could say the new customer. I could say the post-pandemic customer, all of which really doesn't address the fact that regardless of the pandemic, buyers have changed. A departure from what is normal, Dalton. Thank you. Something that is different. Excellent. Exactly. Look at how quickly and how well you source those answers, right? Your resource, Google, isn't as important as your resourcefulness, in that maybe you went to a dictionary. Maybe you've actually got one of those. And maybe you use your phone to access Google. Remember, it's our resourcefulness. And that's imperative closing. Because now you don't have the automobile to turn to and look at. You're probably in your office. An aberration, in short, is a deviation. In our case, that's from normal high-pressure, slimy, tricky talk tactics to customer-focused. And it really makes sense because in order for you to sell John Smith, you have to see yourself through John Smith's eyes. Remember Spencer Johnson and my reference to the 1-minute salesman, where you see the shopper getting what they want, seeing what you want. Always keep this top of mind. That's how you're helpful as opposed to salesy. So the deviation, seeing the shopper get they want, is the secret. So tell me this. How does this tactic or talk track work for you? Let me read the talk track. What would it take to earn your business today? How does that work for you? Somebody text in for me. How does that work for you? What do you think? What would it take for me to earn your business today? I'll tell you this much. I don't like it. I, in fact, hated it. But you tell me how you do with it. Somebody text in how well that works for them. Good, bad, or ugly. What would it take to earn your business? I'll share this much with you, gang. As you're vigorously typing in, it doesn't. It's something different. Yes, I mean, selfish. Thanks, Tori. Excellent. What would it take to earn your business? Well, I'll tell you this much, gang. It's patented, and it works, and it's amazing. But I'm going to tell you when. Because when I figured out that it really works, I wasn't selfish, and I wasn't slimy. And it did work for me. Here's the secret. That patented talk track almost sounds begging and pleading. Yes, and it is, if you use it at the end of the interaction. If you say to them at the last point, you've done your walk around presentation, trade evaluation, and you think you're going to lose the deal and this is all over, and you say, hey, what would it take to earn your business? What do we need to do? You are begging and pleading. You may as well be on your knees, kneeling at the desk and your hands clasped together. That's ridiculous. And that's where it doesn't work. And that's where most trainers and teachers and managers, for that matter, leveraging that tactic aren't helpful. That's the mark of average ordinary. Now, if you are confused and a little bit conflicted about it, I want to share this much with you. The aberration that I'm going to suggest is that you use it at the beginning of the presentation. What if you greeted a customer on the showroom floor with, welcome to ABC Motors. Let me ask you this, point blank. What would it take to earn your business today? Or a version of that. You don't even have to use the exact talk track. But the point is, it gets right to business. And that's where customers want us to be. Do you see the difference, the aberration then? Instead of begging for a low gross deal and finding out if you can sell and close them, now you're turning it around, reverse engineering this, as we've heard so many times before, and putting it out front. Look, there's no reason for the shopper to be in your showroom. calling you on the phone or emailing in. They want your particular brand and model. And we know every shopper is a buyer. And this applies to the sales desk for you managers. Like when a deal comes up to your desk, the first thought, the first words out of your mouth should be, shall I put a sticker on the board? Right? We need to know they're committed. They're going to move forward. This is the end of the sale. And closing isn't a collection of talk tracks or slimy tactics. Any answer other than, yes, boss, put a sticker on the board is no consideration for negotiation. Keep that in mind. Okay, I know it's easier said than done, right? This is why everyone hates training. In this environment, everything is perfect, right? And I know what you're thinking. I can see you rolling your eyes. Oh, here we go again. And you're just about to allow the old distraction to come in and have a look at your phone, right? Don't. I know what you're saying. Out there in the real world, Bill, this stuff doesn't work. Why not? Why not? Well, I know it does, because I lived it. And I'll share this much with you. I struggled to close worse than you. I was personable like you, knew my product and I ground stock like you do. I could calculate payments in my head, like $25 per payment for every $1,000 selling price over 60 months at 6% interest. It was easy to do. I could do it out on the lot. I'd match talk tracks with a list of objections or rebuttals, rehearsed to perfection, and still I couldn't close better than 1 in 5. You know what that means? It means I had to talk to twice as many people compared to high performers that were selling 1 in 3. I wanted to be like them. We all do. We want to talk to shoppers to sell. Well, we only want to sell. We only want to talk to 20 to 30 shoppers and sell 10. If you're watching my social media right now, I put up the performance calculator where you can sell 10 cars this month talking to 40 people. No problem at all. No advertising, no spamming, no cold calling. What would life be like for you right now this month if you talked to 20 shoppers and sold 10? We need to think in that capacity. So what is the closing step of the 8 steps to success? Somebody text me in what the closing step is in the 8 steps to success. You should have this diagram on your desk blotter, taped up beside your computer, on your bathroom mirror at home. Yes, Dalton, 100%. Step number 6, the purchase consultation. Thank you. But wait. Is it really? Is it really step number 6? Yeah, it's commonly considered closing. But if you don't have commitment all the way along, how do you know that what you're gonna say at this moment in time is closing? Like, you know what? We go through the whole equation and we appraise their trade and we don't ask them if that's acceptable, or they don't give us a reaction like that's ridiculous. What do you say? Press hard 3 copies. There's 3 carbon copies. When you're signing your name, press hard 3 copies. That's great. And it's entertaining and maybe it would work, but I doubt it. Leverage the talk track. What will it take to earn your business? At step 1 is closing right out of the gate. This is the aberration. Could you ask them this? Write this down. What are your payments on the vehicle you're driving? Why would we want to know that? Why would we want to know what the payments are on the vehicle that they're driving? What does that tell us? Why would we want to know what the payments are on the vehicle that they're currently driving? Comfort zone, Mark, absolutely. Anybody else? Why would we want to know? Yes, Alex, that's what they're already spending, investing, coming out of their bank account, their pocket, what they're already comfortable with. Absolutely. And what are they going to tell us? Maybe they're too high. Maybe they want to lower their payments. Maybe they go a little bit more budgetary, 100%. When you find out what they're spending on the vehicle that they're driving, right? That's the secret. Now, at step 2, you could leverage the overview, benefit, and permission strategy of 3 and 4 to help you with that as well, right? Every time we do one of those steps, we come back to the interview, which is the hub of the wheel. This is the aberration approaching closing from a holistic perspective. Now, think of it this way, gang. You've systematized closing. It's not one step anymore. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket to put this deal together. It's a holistic approach. It's a systemized approach because you're starting from step one and leveraging all the way through. If the customer doesn't agree, stop, reassess, pivot when you don't know for sure that they're actually buying. Now, managers in the classroom, watch your team with this. Help them. If you think that buyer is not on track, help them get the shopper on track and buy. And that may be an alternative vehicle. Now, opening statements. What did you come in today to see and drive? Or is that your vehicle? I'm going to slow my speech down here. What did you come in to see and drive? If you didn't see them, what they drove in, or if you did see what they drove in, is that your vehicle? How much mileage is on it? Do you have extended warranty? Would you sell me your car? Because I have a buyer for it. Is that your vehicle? This is my welcome to you in your showroom. You walk in and I greet you. Is that your vehicle? They're going to go, yeah. How much mileage is on it? I don't know. 145,000. Do you have extended warranty? Would you sell me that car? Because I have a buyer for it. Wow. That just changed the perspective of this buyer rather than, hi, how are you? Holy Jesus, it's a snowy day out there. Oh, is it ever close to Christmas? Are you in for our private sale? We don't need to do any of that stuff. We just need to be ourselves. Look at this one. Let's leverage the event sales because everybody's still doing them and they want us to. Are you coming in on our big event sale, our private sale, our factory clear out sale, or our bosses away sell off? Right? Let's identify the obvious as opposed to, hi, how are you? Welcome to the dealership. My name is. And they know where they are. They don't care who you are. Let's get down to business. That's the closing aberration. Let's get down to business. Let's do what they want us to do. And it won't take 3 hours anymore. Would you like to see our brand new, and insert the model name there? This is when you're closing them. Would you like to see our brand new? Say for instance, Dodge brought back the Viper. Ford made the GT40 more available. Corvette became wonderfully abundant. The new Supra all of a sudden is a mainstream model. Maybe the customer doesn't want one of those two-seater compact cars, technically compact, sports car, hypercars, whatever you want to call them. And they'll say, no, I don't want that. I want a van, truck, or SUV. You're closing them, narrowing down their selection. This is the aberration. Customer focused, as you ask them, as opposed to the latest dealer-centric trend, which is, we don't have much inventory and you better be prepared to wait. And we're not very negotiable on price, so don't even ask. Oh my gosh, there were some dealers that said that. We need to get away from that. Go back to being customer focused, maybe even more customer focused than we ever were before. And this applies to walk-in, call-in, email, being referred, getting the second car in the driveway, selling friends, and working in the service department for upgrades. So no two shoppers are the same. I think we could all agree on that. And closing, therefore, is different for each. Does any of you, or do any of you, remember Future Shop, the electronics store? Give me a thumbs up. You remember Future Shop, the electronics store. Anybody remember Future Shop, the electronics store? Yeah, Alex, right on, Mark. Excellent. Who else remembers Future Shop, the electronics store? Great, Tori. Thanks, Rebecca and Carter. Great job. Well, there was a difference. Dalton, thank you for that. There's a big difference between the two. For those of you in the States, I don't think the chain went very far before being bought out. And those of you in the East have Wacky Wheatleys. Future Shop and Wackies paid their salespeople on commission. Best Buy was the electronics aberration. They learned some shoppers dislike the pressure exerted by commissioned salespeople. So Best Buy paid hourly or pays hourly with bonuses for volume. Now, here's the interesting thing. I loved the Future Shop experience, and that's because I'm frustrated with the Best Buy experience. My brother, on the other side of the equation, is a national sales manager for a technology company, and he's really familiar with selling, hates the Future Shop experience, and loves the Best Buy, hello, welcome experience. We're both in sales and dislike equally the experience that is opposite to each other, representing and selling the exact same products. How can this be? For me, I'll share that much with you. I can't speak necessarily for my brother, but for me, I know what I want. I have little time to waste, and I can be very impulsive, easily distracted and buying something that I don't need. Just ask my wife. I have 5 boats, 5 jet skis, 3 paddle boards, and most of the summer, we race mountain bikes as a family. So there's not a lot of time to use that stuff. The conclusion, I'm impulsive, and I love boats, even if I don't use them. When I walk into Future Shop, I'm immediately greeted with, what can I help you find? And I loved that. I get what I want and I leave. And quite frankly, I think my wife really likes it too, because I get what I want and I'm gone. I may get distracted by something else, another shiny object, but I know enough to keep going. My brother prefers to walk around, looking at everything and then buying, or maybe even not, just wandering around. He likes the Best Buy experience because no one, in his words, pounces on him. I hate it because I wander around aimlessly looking for help. And then I leave empty-handed. And I'm actually pissed off as a result of it. So are you getting this? Are my stories, metaphors making sense to you? The point is, no 2 shoppers are alike. And the closing aberration is identifying who wants an efficient shopping experience and who wants less pressure to buy. This is why your welcome first impression is so critical. You're actually closing them with your first impression. This is why closing lines, classic and patented, timeless, like, what will it take to earn your business today, used at the right time, are invaluable to you. The closing aberration leverages talk tracks that gets down to business, customer focus, and answers from the customer like, well, we need a car, or nothing you can do will earn my business today. We're just shopping, not buying. No problem at all. Doesn't matter what they answer with. What model did you come in to see and drive? That's the closing aberration. It doesn't matter what they say. We know they're there to buy your product, and it's just a matter of what model. So let's get to it. Average ordinary salespeople close at pre-pandemic 1 in 20. And we're going to be back to those closing rates very, very soon if they continue to do what they were doing before, struggling to believe that every shopper is a buyer because they never asked for the sale. You know why they're afraid. It's because the shopper may say, well, let me think about it. Or, what's your best price? I know this because I did it too, until I had nothing to lose. Literally, I had 1 month. I worked the whole entire month without selling 1 vehicle. And obviously, I didn't make any money. It was a commission sales floor, and there was no draw, and I literally made nothing. Really, I'm not kidding you. I actually paid my rent for my apartment with a cash advance on my credit card. It was that bad. That was one of the best lessons I learned. What I learned was closing, as so many managers, peers, and trainers define it as only 1 step in the 8, is not. It doesn't happen at one point of the sales experience. That is wrong. That month of no sales left me hating selling, hating the manager, hating the industry, blaming my ability to close at the end of the sale. And I said, this is the interesting part. This is the best part. So, tell me if this ever happened to you. I said, if only I could deal with just the buyers and forget about the shoppers. The irony in that statement is that every shopper is a buyer. What I learned was that it's not so much what I say, but how. When you leverage the closing aberration, asking what they came in for, you get them talking and discovering if they're fast or slow speaking. So you can mirror and match your cadence, leveraging neurolinguistic processing to get deeper into their subconscious, helping them do what they want to do, and that is buy. What did you just say, Bill? I know, I'll come around to it. Let me summarize this in plain language. Ask a question that will get them talking. That's all you do. Ask a question that gets them talking. Then slow down or speed up your cadence of speech, your body movements, match their pace through those 8 steps. This is the aberration. This is the deviation from normal, putting all your emphasis, all your eggs in one basket at the very end. But I know you want closing strategy. And as I've said before, strategy is a collection of tactics perfectly aligned, moving towards a common goal. So let's assume you've been deploying the overview, benefit, and permission commitment strategy throughout the entire way of the sale, all 8 steps. And we're only at step 5 and possibly only step 4, transitioning to step 6. At step 6, the purchase consultation, meeting an objection, the summary close of closing aberration works so well because it continues the relationship that you've developed. Your relationship is, in fact, more valuable to the customer than the vehicle. Those aren't my words. I'm not making that up. That's exactly what our surveys have come back. The surveys that I leveraged through the students at the Automotive Business School of Canada told us. Unquestionably, at this point, you've earned the right to ask for their agreement. You've perfectly completed the bridge process, and the customer is expecting your closing, your agreement, your finalizing. So let's dive into proven tactics, tested for years, and helping one guy, one of my students, a client, make a 7-figure income selling automobiles in 1 year. Now, as mentioned, the closing aberration deviation is offering choices so shoppers feel like they're in control. Asking a question such as that ends with a yes/no answer is not a good idea, will not give you the information that you need to figure out if they're fast or slow speaking. And you never really want to corner yourself with something like that, unless you need to get them in a yes frame of mind. And I'll share with you how and why. Every shopper's conditioned response to any one of your questions, in fact, any question at all, is typically, regularly, routinely, no. Conditioned response is always no, because no is a safe response, even when it's illogical. Read the slide. These questions make it really difficult for you to answer with no, such as, when are you planning to pick your vehicle up? Tomorrow, the next day, or by the weekend? Now, as we get more product, I know some of you are still product constrained. As we get more product, that'll make it a little bit easier to say that. But still, if somebody wants a specific model, color, features, and it's going to take 9 months for us to get it, we may as well find this out now, right? And whatever they respond with, you can say, the reason I ask, it just as it's delineated on the slide there, the reason I ask, and you should be writing this down, the reason I ask is for one of 3 reasons. We need to secure financing, we need to schedule the service department, I want to make sure that I'm available to deliver it to you. Okay, you're not expected, as much as your boss and as much as your owner tells you, drop everything when you've got a delivery. You can't be expected to be there for everybody every waking hour of the day to be able to do so. So you need to factor into those 3 reasons. I want to be here, and I need to make sure I'm available to deliver it to you. You should write those down. When would you like to take delivery? The reason I ask is for one of 3 reasons. And of course, if you didn't get that, you can certainly do so in step number 5 of the learning management system, the on-demand portal. And of course, this session will be recorded and available in the private members group. Choices are decisions. Thanks, Craig. I knew you'd get that. Choices are decisions made to cut away from their old vehicle. We love the owners. Ask them, shall we finalize the agreement? Now, I'm paraphrasing when I say, anything, we should be adding or deleting anything. Make sure that you get it all out on the table before you go to the agreement. And you want to ask, is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? If there is something that they don't want and you can't deliver on, the reason why you need to do this right now is that you have to stop and discuss it. There's no point carrying on. If they want 35 series tires on a caravan, like off-road 4-wheel drive tires on a caravan, that's not, and I'm exaggerating, who would want that anyway, but that's not possible. So you need to stop, and we've got to address that. Stop seeing what you can sell and only sell what you can see. And of course, with the limitations in inventory, this is really prevalent right now. You want to finalize the agreement by saying, and this is the vehicle you'd like to own. Write that down. And this is the vehicle you'd like to own. The reason why I want you to write that down is the operative word is own. Never say buy. Own is softer, and buy is like a slap in the face that wakes them up. You want to assume the sale, meaning walk them through the parts and accessories in the service department, introducing them to colleagues, just like you would if they were taking delivery. That's assuming the sale. That's seeing them getting what they want, you seeing what you want them to get. The closing aberration is making your shopper feel a part of the family and really excited to agree. So ask a question and put your head down and get ready to start to write. That's all you do. Wait. That's it. Put your head down, get ready to write. So if they said, well, I don't know if we could afford it, or we were not prepared to make that decision right now. Or maybe they said, hey, slow down. We haven't said we're taking anything or buying anything. These are heartbreaking responses to the average ordinary salesperson, aren't they? Don't get distracted because you know anyone will trade their old car for a shiny, newer, faster, better fuel economy, the latest and greatest technology with a full warranty. What are they thinking? Price? Oh, okay, possibly. You could say something like this. Well, assuming we come to an agreement on price, whose name will the vehicle be registered in? Yours, your spouse, both of you, or your company? Did you hear that? Are you writing this down? We didn't say we're buying. Okay. Assuming we agree on price, whose name will the vehicle be registered in? Yours, your spouse, both of the company. And put your head down and get ready to write. Why not? Let's get them in an ownership frame of mind. The closing aberration is a departure from the normal, focuses on the results. The results are, we need to get this vehicle registered. That's not tricky, slimy, or silly in any kind of a talk track. We want to go straight down the center, getting to the agreement, avoiding frustrating and aggravating shoppers, right? My future shop experience. I love it. A lot of people don't, but that's getting to the point. Use the insurance close by saying, what is the address that you'd like to appear on your title and registration? Simply something as simple as that. What is the address that you'd like to appear in title? Now, if you took them out on a demonstration drive, you've got to photocopy their driver's license. So always put that paperwork in a drawer. As soon as you photocopy it, bring it back, put it in a drawer. There's enough information on there that in the wrong hands could be identity theft or could be a victim of identity theft. So always hide that. Don't bring it back out. Start copying the information from the driver's license because you can leverage your closing activity by asking them this question. What is the telephone number of your insurance agent? And the reason why I ask is I'd like to advise them before you pick your new vehicle up. I hope you're really not finding these closing aberration talk tracks difficult. You must sound confident to be competent when you're using them. Now, the spouse stall is a popular one, and the closing aberration addresses it perfectly. For instance, if I were to say, you know what, I can't make a decision at all, I got to talk to my wife about it first. It's like, No problem at all. What would your wife say yes to, Bill? Price, payments, color, interest rate, down payment, delivery date as a cosigner, or any feature that's on the vehicle? Now, I wouldn't read it off like a list like that. I'd pick one or two things. I would not focus on price and payments as one of my two things either. But did you write that down? Right? What would he or she say no to? Price, payments, color, interest rate, down payment, delivery date, co-signing, or any feature? What would he or she say yes to? What would they say no to? The spouse stall is so weak. Any buyer, man or woman, will not know what to answer to that. The smart ones will say, this is the smart answer. So if you're out shopping for a boat, a cottage, a house, here's what you should say. Yeah, all of it. They'll say no to all of it. The closing aberration states that you pinpoint the objection to find out what is holding them back. That's why I prefaced with, what would your spouse say yes to? Because the smart ones they'll say no to all of it. That's the closing aberration. Picking our words, phrasing them in the cadence that'll get deep to their subconscious to get them comfortable with making the decision that they want to make. What would their spouse say yes to? That's my favorite one. It's worked flawlessly for me for eons. Now, many shoppers will bring an advisor with them, dad, brother, grandmother, neighbor, or a friend. The advisor can be an asset as much as they can be a liability to you. If the asset becomes a liability, then simply ask them this, write this down. Will you be helping the buyer with the selection of color, features, monthly payment, co-signing on the credit application, and or the down payment? Did you get that? Here's the advisor, dad, brother, grandmother, neighbor, or friend. And ask the advisor, especially if they're a little bit combative and they're trying to derail your efforts. Will you be helping the buyer, turning to their friend who is going to own the car? Will you be helping with the color, selection of color or features, the monthly payment, co-signing in the credit application, and or the down payment? A lot of advisors don't think in this capacity, do they? That should be enough to alert the shopper that their advisor isn't actually being helpful. And if they're not helping buy the vehicle, then their attitude is not making the experience positive and easier. But the closing aberration involves all parties. So speaking directly to the advisor, you could say this: would you like me to work out figures that your friend, the buyer, can afford the vehicle without you having to get financially involved? Write that down. Would you like me to work out figures so that your friend, the buyer, can afford the vehicle without you having to get financially involved? You see the difference of the closing aberration versus everything else that's out there. So if your shopper is waffling, they're moving away from emotion and they're becoming logical, I would suggest a redemonstration. How many of you leverage that now? Say you're $200, $100, $30, $20, or $5 away from a deal. For those seasoned veterans in the room, how many deals have you lost for $5? You don't have to text in a response. You don't have to pick a reaction. You got to be laughing to yourself. $5. I've lost a deal for $1. You know full well it's principal at that point. So pause. Think, and then stand up. Ask your shopper to follow you, that you have an idea to help them with their decision. Now, what you're saying to yourself is the transformation bridge is falling apart. That's from the old car to the new car. Don't tell them where you're going. Just tell them to follow you. Show them through the service department, making introductions, leading them back to the new vehicle. This tactic is critical. This next tactic, is critical. Those steps are important all by themselves, but this next tactic is critical. Take a picture of them with their phone standing in front of the car. I know you're going to struggle with that. I did. I know it's really hard to do. All of a sudden you're standing in front of the car and they're going to be thinking to themselves as you're thinking to yourself, okay, they're saying to themselves, what are we doing here? Get them to stand in front of the car, ask them for their phone. You're going to take a picture of the phone. So when they're thinking about it, they know the exact model that they're thinking about. Say anything along those lines. Get them to stand close to it. Big toothy grin, right? Ask them, what is the expression that there will be on their face when they're picking this car up? What is the expression on their face when they're picking this car up? And of course, you've walked them through the parts and accessory department and introducing the people as you go along. It really feels like a delivery, doesn't it? Assuming the sale is taking them through the process as though they have purchased. Alternatively, you could facilitate a delivery walk around with the talk track of ownership of your car, truck, or SUV. Now, what if they say, I want to think about it? The closing aberration is to go in the direction of the objection. So you don't build barriers. You've already got enough barriers in front of you. They don't know whether they can afford it. They don't know if they want to spend the money. They don't know if this car is going to be reliable. They don't know if they're going to buy a lemon. They don't know if there's going to be a better deal in the wintertime. They don't know with the recession looming, all of a sudden manufacturers are going to bring their price down. These are the barriers that never go away, and you don't need to stack one on top. You could say this: will 2 or 3 days be long enough for you to think about it? Who does that? Who does that? I want to think about it. No problem. Will 2 or 3 days be long enough for you to think about it? Let them answer. And the answer is going to be simple. It's going to be yes, right? They're going to take all of it. Then you will suggest a date and time to follow up. You will suggest a date and time. So if today's Thursday, and I tell you I need 2 or 3 days to think about it, so you will say, may I follow up with you on Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning? And I'm going to say yes, because I'm thinking as a buyer, I'm getting out of here. And you make an appointment on your smartphone right in front of them. And you tell them, I will send you a meeting invite. I will send you a meeting invite. And another reason to get their email address, right? Now, here's the close, though. Bill, whether you think about it for 3 minutes, 3 hours, or 3 days, you're going to come back to the same 3 questions. May I share those with you? Question number 1, is this the vehicle you really see yourself owning? Spencer Johnson, 1-minute salesman. See the customer getting what they want, so you see yourself getting what you want. Is this the vehicle you see yourself owning? If you get, wow, I don't know, stop right there. No more going forward. Figure out what's not right. Question number 2, is this the dealership that you find most convenient and pleasing? Question number 3, I feel a little awkward asking this one, but what about me? Am I the guy, the gal that you trust with this emotional financial decision? I feel a little awkward asking you this, but what about me? Am I the guy, the gal that you trust with such an emotional financial decision? If they still don't say yes, it's time to get the manager involved. The reason why I leverage the vehicle, because if it wasn't right, they would have told you by now. So that's an easy yes. The dealership, if they didn't like your dealership and didn't believe your dealership was the place to get to make this second greatest financial decision next to buying a house at wasn't worthwhile, they wouldn't be in the dealership. And secondly, thanks, Matt, if they didn't like you for whatever reason, they would have found an excuse by now to leave. Keep that in mind. Am I the person, right? So the purpose of these 3 questions is an easy yes. That yes pattern is part of a neurolinguistic process that actually border guards and police officers leverage on us. For instance, when you get stopped for a speeding ticket, what's the first thing the police officer does when they stop you? They ask you, do you know why I stopped you? And 9 times out of 10, what's the answer we give them? I don't know. If you're smart, you go, yeah, I was speeding. It totally interrupts their behavior, totally interrupts their pattern. Same with a border guard. When you're coming through, they go, where are you coming from? You know exactly where you're coming from. And what was the purpose of your travel? Business or personal? Simple questions. They ask you 3 simple questions, and then they hit you with the hard one right at the very end. Wait for it. It's coming. Okay, let's figure out how to handle objections. Handling any stall follows a prescribed series of steps, and my system will get you comfortable with the guidelines to overcoming those stalls. You'll be able to overcome any customer stall and objection with a pleasing, positive, and friendly approach. Like buying electronics, you know in days, weeks, or months, there will be an ad with a better price. And the 8 steps to success ensure the transformation from their old car to the new car. That bridge process is only complete when they buy. And you believe that you are the best price. You must believe that you are the best price, and you must use that. If you are 100% confident that you will not be undersold, say it. If you're the little cheaper dealer, tell them. But my guess is that you don't believe any of it, neither does your buyer, because like electronics, in days, weeks, or months, there'll be a sale. But why? Because if you don't believe that you have the best price right now, you're not going to close effectively. And the reason may be that you don't know only 17% of shoppers really want to negotiate. The part that I find so amazing is average ordinary salespeople think 83% of shoppers want to negotiate, and only 17% are the ones that don't. They've got it inverted. If the customer said, I want to discuss it with my spouse, average ordinary salespeople run to their manager for a clever talk track that'll actually embarrass or belittle shoppers, such as when the customer says, I need to talk to my spouse, would you actually say, well, maybe I should talk to my spouse and see if I can sell you the vehicle? I know you wouldn't. And don't even think that that's a good idea. The closing aberration is customer focused, not combative. Instead, suggest that they FaceTime with their spouse, confirming color, features, and monthly payment. This was an outlandish suggestion pre-pandemic, and now commonplace with my high performers as inventory was exhausted. It works. All you have to do is ask. If or when you get a stall before you're trying to close, solve it and refine it and isolate it. Color, features, monthly payment, down payment term, trade-in amount. What is it? Say this. If I could get you, and don't rhyme all this off, but I'm going to rhyme it in the list. If I could get you color, feature, payments, trade-in amount, pick only one, would we have a deal? Continue the shopping conversation. This is the reason life insurance and mortgage agents will only work with both spouses present at the table. The closing aberration only works with clarification. If I could, would you? If I could, would you? Now, what if you really could not narrow down, pinpoint the objection, the hurdle, in other words? With a process like the objection handling formula, the dealership, the vehicle, and you, those other than statements help the shopper make the decision, because they can't help but just blurt out what the problem is, exactly what they need, and exactly what they want to think about, because it all makes sense. You get them in that yes frame of mind, they can't help but just blurt it out. This is why my closing aberration works so well. There isn't anything that you can't sink your mental teeth into to overcome any stall. The closing aberration is more about communication than it is about price. That's why, as you defined earlier, we call this process the agreement. You defined that. I didn't. I agreed with you when I said, what is closing? You said it was the agreement. So getting to yes and doing so, refining questions so the customer moves into a yes frame of mind is the secret. Ask them easy questions that you know they will for sure answer with yes. Maybe you've heard the saying, the adage, I shouldn't say old ad, the adage, never ask a question you don't know the answer to. So will your spouse agree to the color? Will they agree to the features? Will you be recommending this dealership to service at? Will you trust me to complete the sale for you? Will you be recommending me That's the salesperson that you want to deal with. Yes, yes, yes. Then when would you like to press the easy button? Or I need your approval right here, and press hard, go through all 3 copies. When would you like to be driving your new vehicle is an excellent talk track that I really like initiating any kind of close or commitment strategy with. When would you like to be driving your new vehicle? Today, tomorrow, or the following day? I just answered my question. I gave them choices. I didn't ask them when they want to be driving it because the conditional response is no. And again, it's illogical. I didn't ask them if they wanted to be. I just asked them when. And no is not the correct answer, but that's what you'll get, right? However, if you ask today, tomorrow, or the following day, they can't answer with no. I hope you really get that idea. Don't simply let the customer go. Ask, 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 and ask again. Did you notice I did not suggest anything about price? I know what you're thinking, that you don't think or don't want to do this because it sounds pushy. This is the second greatest financial decision that people make next to buying a house. You've got to keep that top of mind. Do you really think anyone, including you, would not need a push to get over this financial hurdle? If they do not need a little push, well, then you'll be congratulating them and getting ready for delivery. This stuff works. There's no fluff. There's no filler here. And I really hope you sense my sincerity. So you've made several attempts to close. The customer's resilient. If the customer said yes to the primary questions, vehicle dealership and you, their only objection is price. And that solution is covered in several worksheets of the next step, mastering negotiation and getting the manager involved. And with that, gang, we're out of time. That was fantastic. Slightly over the 11 o'clock mark. Now I want to field any question that you might have. Text in your question. Be sure to mark these Thursday sessions on your calendar. Join me every single week. There is a new topic every week. And if you're not subscribed to the Auto Dealership Academy Manifesto and not sure when I make reference to those various steps, visit my website, book a discovery call to see if the manifesto is right for you. Now, if you know anyone struggling that would like to have some help, send them to my website, and I'd love to be able to talk to them about it. And we have a fantastic referral and affiliate program for you. You're welcome, Carter. Thanks so much for joining me. At this point, it is Q&A time. Tori, I can see your hand is up. You can unmute yourself, and you can, Alex, you're welcome. Thank you. Bring your questions to the table now, gang. That would be fantastic. I don't think I better take a quick picture of.
So just a quick question. Not you. For my class.
Great.
Assuming that they've agreed on price and, you're talking about whose name that the vehicle would go into, what if they don't know yet at that point in time? Because I've had that happen a couple of times where they've agreed to financing, they've done the credit application, and then they've switched to wanting something else. So I'm just wondering, how do we kind of wrap them back around to closing again after they've kind of changed wanting payments and stuff like that?
It happens. It happens a lot, Tori. That's not unusual. It tends to happen with less inventory, interestingly enough, than it happens with more inventory. I think the obvious reason with the more inventory and the lower chance of it happening is that they've seen everything now. With a tighter inventory, a lower supply, they really haven't seen everything. So they really don't know whether they're making the right decision or not. But that doesn't help you. That's not the answer to your question, by the way. The answer to the question is in the overview, benefit, and permission commitment strategy as you're going along. So they may be considering a vehicle and following along with you, especially if every one of your steps are seamless and you're entertaining and informative all the way along. But if you're not getting that commitment, do you like everything I'm talking about? Does this make sense? Is this, we only have 3 colors available, and this is the closest that I could select that was similar to either your car you're driving now, or maybe it was one of the 3 colors that they would recommend, or you said, I've only got black, white, and gray, and they go, I really wanted red. I say, all I have is black, white, and gray. And they go, okay, well, I guess if anything, you could say For the purpose of presentation, which color can I show you? Gray. Now you may think, oh, they're going with the gray one. We've got agreement on the gray one, and they flip on you. They go, no, I wanted heated steering wheel. I wanted heated seats. I wanted a different trim level. I wanted a different color. So if we can get that out on the table through the overview, benefit, permission, commitment strategy at step 3, the walk around, as you're going around, do you like what I'm showing you? Does this make sense? Can we move on to the next position? Do you like what I'm showing you? Does this make sense? Do you like that feature? Now I'd like to share with you some features of the back. And then on the demonstration drive, this is ride, drive, power, driving dynamics, whatever you're featuring at that point. Do you like what you're seeing? Could you see yourself owning it? Hopefully at that point, you would get some indication that this isn't necessarily the one that I want, but yes, this is the brand, this is the model. You are the salesperson I want to move forward with and move in that direction. That's the only thing I can think of. Does anybody else have anything to add to that would help Tori with this particular situation? Where it was it? Okay, that'll work, Tori. Like that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Excellent. Anybody have another question? Is there a question out there? Quick drink of water. Excellent. Thank you. Anybody have a question on getting to those dynamite, in the closing? It's closing as a step is actually an advertisement for those pseudo trainers, coaches offering the hype in the marketplace for us. The really fascinating part is when you look at it from this aberration perspective, a departure from the normal. That is the reason why I keep going back to the 8 steps, and it happens at the first step. If you aren't getting those affirmations for yourself, seeing the customer getting what they want, so you see yourself getting what you want, then leaving it to the very end, 3 hours later, is no surprise that the customer walks out thinking about the car. 2 reasons. They haven't been asked to commit. Number 1, we assume them being there in the showroom is commitment enough, and it is, absolutely, unquestionably. Every shopper is a buyer, but we haven't asked them to commit on this particular one. And the frustrating thing was writing this material for so many years and facilitating it to thousands of students. I was still asked and requested of closing. Can you teach my team closing skills? What are good closing tactics? What are good talk tracks for closing? And of course, I have selected here the most classic, most frequently used, patented ones, not because I think they're great and largely because they worked for me, but because high performers use them exactly verbatim. But I leverage them because they're used inappropriately. The timing is off. And especially that one, what would it take to earn your business? And the beauty of that one is, what would it take to earn your business today? Oh my gosh, the number of salespeople that push back on me on that or confront me with, Bill, I was told to say this. Isn't that wrong? Isn't that ridiculous? Isn't that careless? No. Timed, it's amazing. That's why we call them patented. That's why so many people use them. That's why someone will suggest it to you to help you with your closing strategy. But what they don't tell you is when. That's the secret to closing. It's not one step. And I really hope everybody got that. This is part 2 of 3 parts to this one step alone as we go through these virtual classrooms. In the step 6 of the on-demand lessons of the portal, the training portal, you'll get it all at once right there. So you can make copious notes from that. But the point of closing is to set it up in the very beginning. And that's a telephone call. That's an email, such as, yeah, I'm happy to share with you all the details of whatever particular product and model that you were after. When were you hoping to get it? Today, tomorrow, by the weekend? Can you wait 6 months? Huh. I just took a stab at closing them on an email. You could do that through SMS. Matador does that. When somebody says, hey, do you have this particular model in stock? They go, yeah, we do. When did you want it? Today, tomorrow, by the weekend. They're recognizing the pattern through the automated intelligence of the questions that people are asking. The computer does that. Fascinatingly enough, there was a study done by the justice system, and what it revealed was automated intelligence is more accurate, more much quicker at determining a judgment, and more efficient with our justice system than a live person, than a live judge. And the reason being is that it recognizes the patterns. And I found that fascinating. I'm not suggesting for a second, I certainly hope our justice system does not go to a computer-generated device that it's just taking what we say and attempting to establish a pattern, then determining a result. My goodness. But can you see how efficient that would be? Can you see how quickly an answer could be drawn, a judgment brought down, and how much quicker our judicial system could be? Like it's almost a little alarming. But that's because we don't leverage the appropriate discussion, topic, ask question in the patterned order at the right time. I really hope what you get with your closing, especially December, especially right now, absolutely critical. There aren't enough people coming in this month for you to haphazard and wing it to make it a double-digit month for you. And it can be a double-digit month easily because other salespeople are going to go into hibernation for the next 4 months. They're going to get sleepy. They're going to get careless. They're not going to want to go out on the lot and help somebody. They're going to take their time responding to emails. They're not going to instantly go back to it. Hey, look, if you sell anything on Marketplace, like your own personal stuff at home, I'll bet you check your messenger 10 times faster than you check email leads that are coming into the dealership. You need to reverse engineer that. You need to think in exactly the same capacity. Anybody texting in right now in December, January, February, March, in the Northern Hemisphere, Northern 48, and all of Canada, you got to respond fast because that's what the customer expects anyway. And what they're getting, average, ordinary salespeople do, it's bake day, it's bake sale day. Or the service department, they're doing a potluck. I'm going to go back and see what's going on. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not beating you up. But at the same time, we miss out on some incredible opportunities in this month and the beginning of next year, the first quarter, because, well, it's seasonality. And we're not closing. Close them on the phone. Close them on the email. Close them on an SMS. Set an appointment. Set an appointment is a closing strategy that I'll talk about in the next part, right? When they're coming into an appointment, when you're doing a virtual appointment on Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Google Meetup, whatever the case is, you got commitment. If they don't show up, they didn't have any commitment. Right. And so then you got to really decide, are they serious or not? And don't be offended if they're not serious. You can't get them all. You can't win them all. That's why my opportunity calculator on my social, if you're following me on social, shows you right there how to do 10 cars this month and lots of categories: repeat, referral, networking, service conversions, one sale. One sale. That's all you have to get out of those areas. because you're naturally going to get 4 to the showroom. You're naturally going to get 2 from email and from phone. And then bingo, there's 10. I don't want to say that's how easy it is, but that's how easy it is. Remember, but is the human eraser, right? When I said I don't want to say that, but I'm going to erase everything I said before. And that's what it is. We're careful using the word but, because it erases what you said previously. Anybody have a question, comment? What about a win? Who's got a win for me? Someone that has a win that has nothing to do with what you've learned, or it has so much to do with what you've learned, or something that you knew before, forgot, you weren't using, and now you are. Who's got a win? Text me in a win. I'm not seeing any wins in that private members group lately. Not sure why, but wins. Who's got a win? Post it in there, right? Post it here. Send me an email. Call me. Send me a text. Love to hear it. Who's got a win? What about a great closing line that just works for you? I didn't address it here. Something like that. Don't hesitate to put that out there and bring it into the equation. Love what I do. I hope that I'm helpful for you too. This is great, and I can't get enough of those comments and wins frequently enough. So don't hesitate to blurt that out as I take a glass of water. Absolutely, Peter. ABC, right? Just like Alex said in the Baldwin movie. That was such a movie. Oh my gosh. That would be enough for you not to want to go to that meeting. That's for sure. Absolutely priceless. Making sure that I'm just going through the text, making sure that somebody didn't ask a question and I missed it. So if there aren't any questions, comments, or wins, then I'm going to wrap this up, gang. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. As always, the session is recorded. You will find the recording in the private members Facebook group. So make sure you belong to the group. Make sure your notifications are on. Please like and comment on everything that anybody posts in there, because it just creates a community of high-performing individuals like ourselves. And you could, liking is one thing, and that's okay. But on the other side of the equation, you're welcome, Matt. Comment, right? Comment on what somebody has asked or looking for, or volunteer your 2 cents worth of advice. It's just us. It's not going out to the World Wide Web. It's just us in that private members group. You must be part of this program to be in the private members group. And when you're not part of the program, you're not part of the group. So it's just us forever. It is so great. So thanks so much for joining me, Dalton. I hope you really enjoyed it today, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Welcome to December. I hope November was absolutely amazing for you. And for those of you that have made it through step number 8, click and book time on my coaching schedule for your one-on-one session. Take advantage of this. This is a great month to do so. Let's make this month a double-digit month for you, and then plan next year a double-digit month, January, February, March. 30 cars under your belt going into the spring. That's our time to make hay while the sun is shining and get ahead of next year. It is so easy for you to make those double digits. And I say that, I say that with reservation. It's so easy because it takes a lot of work. But the planning is what makes it easy to do the work, because you'll know what to do every single day. Have a fantastic day, an amazing weekend. I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye for now.